Ebola has been a hot story. Understandably so, but with any major news of the day of clickbait scare media, you understandably get a lot of people with the vested interest to keep you scared, so you'll click on the next BuzzFeed list of 17 ways to spot if your neighbor has Ebola. It was quite refreshing to see someone take a few minutes on cable television, of all places, to reassure Americans that we're not all destined to die a painful death while bleeding from our collective eyeballs. The irony is that this moment was shared on Fox News.
Together now. For the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the facts on Ebola. It'll take just 3 minutes. But first, today, given what we know, you should have no concerns about Ebola at all. None, I promise. Unless a medical professional has contacted you personally and told you of some sort of possible exposure, fear not. Do not listen to the hysterical voices on the radio and the television or read the fear-provoking words online. The people who say and write hysterical things are being very irresponsible. You have to remember that in the middle of all of this, you have to remember that there is politics in the mix. With midterm elections coming, the party in charge needs to appear to be effectively leading. The party out of power needs to show that there is a lack of leadership. So the president has canceled a fundraising trip and is holding meetings, and his political opponents are accusing his administration of poor leadership. For the purpose of this fact dissemination exercise, those matters are immaterial. Again, these are the facts. We do not have an outbreak of Ebola in the United States, nowhere. We do have 2 healthcare workers who contracted the disease from a dying man. They are isolated. There is no information to suggest that the virus has spread to anyone in the general population of America. Not one person in the general population in the United States. Suggestions have been made publicly that leaders and medical professionals may be lying to us. Those suggestions are completely without basis in fact. There is no evidence of any kind of which we at Fox News are aware that leaders have lied about anything regarding Ebola. I report to you with certainty this afternoon that being afraid at all is the wrong thing to do. Being petrified, and that's a quote, is ridiculous. The panic that has tanked the stock market and left people fearful that their children will get sick at school is counterproductive and lacks basis in fact or reason. There is no Ebola spreading in America. Should that change, our reporting will change. But there is nothing to indicate that it will. Best advice for you and your family at this moment, get a flu shot. Unlike Ebola, flu is easily transmitted. Flu, along with resulting pneumonia, killed 52,000 Americans last year alone. A flu shot will reduce your chance of getting flu. So get one.
Well, there you go. Nothing to worry about. Now, this is irony at best, as many of the opinion shows on Fox News are spreading that type of panic that Shep Smith was warning about. But it's also just as Smith said, it is an election year, with the midterms, and Ebola has, of course, been turned into a political tool, just as every other issue has. So, what do you guys think? Sean?
Well, first of all, as we all know, Fox News is a source of truth and honorable information, and Shepard Smith has once again delivered on that. Just kidding about part of that, but yeah, Shepard Smith actually did a great job there. It's funny, there's a little side note. Under him was a scroll that was actually talking about Ebola, which under the breaking news category, but that's not his fault. It's good to hear somebody be the voice of reason. It's not rare, really, but it is rare, but it has happened before that it was Shepard Smith, and the fact that it's on Fox is a good thing. The fact that he addressed it very, very straightforward is a good thing. The fact that he said it does not spread like the flu is a great thing. And I just say good job on him. And I'll give credit to a few other Fox hosts that I've seen clips of being reasonable about Ebola. But we know that the vast majority of the news in general has been pushing the panic button. There was a great survey of college students in Rutgers that found that the people who are following Ebola the most happen to be the people who are the most misinformed about Ebola, and that just goes to show you how bad of a job the news is doing at fear-mongering. So good job, Shepard Smith. Hang in there. Voice of reason on the Starship deck with all those iPads behind you. Good man.
I would say it's rather interesting that Shepard Smith picked today to have his newsroom / Walter Cronkite moment. He does do that every blue moon, so that's nice. I think it's interesting to see this slow kind of like turn away from the crazy that Fox News is doing. There's been more and more frequent stories of them showing that they're not entirely insane, and I think Chris Wallace and Shepard Smith are the two that have been at the forefront of it. But Ebola is a serious enough illness where being hyperbolic and going crazy about the situation does a disservice, especially after this second nurse who got sick.
I just find it funny that people are saying Fox News and attributing that to the voice of reason. I mean, this is Fox News. This is the same network, like 30 minutes later, will have hours and hours of coverage of them freaking out about after he just said don't freak out about it. I don't see why we're giving them praise. I mean, okay, we pat you on your back, head. Oh, you did a good job. You were the voice of reason for 5 minutes out of a 24/7 news cycle. Why are we even giving them this little nugget of? I don't. It blows my mind. But every once in a while, I guess you gotta give somebody a cookie, and Shep Smith gets the cookie and then gets all the bashing from everybody else because he's not towing the freak out thing. I just find it highly ironic that we're giving them a minuscule amount of praise in this.
Well, we're not giving Fox News praise. We're giving Shep Smith praise, which now and again Shep Smith has shown to be somewhat rational. And I think that rationality does deserve, since, I mean, I get your point.
Okay,
Hold on. It is kind of funny. You do point out something that makes a lot of sense. The entire channel is batshit crazy, and it makes no sense that we should praise the one nugget of rationality within that sea of insane batshit crazy. I get that, but at the same time, we live in the world where the batshit crazy has taken over everything, and we'll take what we can get.
Well, I just want to remind everybody that while he's praising Shep Smith for his stellar 3 minutes of yay, this is the same guy that I pointed out on my show did a 10-minute rant about how the double-decker buses in when they crashed into a light and some people got injured were evil and a virus on the city of Manhattan. And he didn't understand how they were taking over the city. He's not rational by any means. So just because for once he, is a friend of the LGBT community because he's gay and because he has this moment of rationality, just remember, 90% of that other time, he's not. So let's just keep this in perspective here.
But Tom, even a broken clock is correct, twice out of the day. So, I mean, if we have to give credit where credit is due, so that at least they see, if more people are like showing Fox News, hey, the batshit crazy needs to die down, and we'll start watching you, then that'll help. I mean, Shepard Smith doing what he did as far as a business aspect is going to appeal to people that are of like my generation, the millennials, where we're going to look at that and be like, oh, okay, well, he's not entirely, out of his mind. So maybe I'll watch just Shepard Smith's show, or maybe I'll check out Chris Wallace on Sunday, maybe check him out on YouTube or something like that. So, at a strategy, it's a smart thing to do to show that they're not all insane.
Sure, of course. No, as a strategy, yes. But overall, from us, it's kind of, I don't know, yay, Shep. Okay.
It's being fair, giving props where props are due, especially when we spend the lion's share of our time on this show, especially criticizing Fox News.
Okay, I got the best. Shut up, Tom. I got the best point ever. I apologize for that. But we missed the most. I want to point out the most important part of what Shepard Smith said in his whole speech. And this is why, as somebody who's been monitoring the news and how they cover Ebola, I say Fox has actually done a little better in certain aspects of it. He said the panic that is causing the stock market to fall. Like, Fox News, all in all, fear-mongering aside, they're about the money. And I give Shepard Smith credit because in a lot of things he is reasonable, and the bus thing, totally reasonable. Double-decker buses and bicyclists don't belong in New York. But in this particular case, it's about the money, and the smarter, more business-savvy Fox News hosts have been toning down the rhetoric because of the stock market.
No, fair enough, but no, I actually agree with you on it because they're watching the money angle of it die because of the panic, and it's like, okay, so our gravy train is like getting derailed here. We need to pull this back a notch. So I totally see your point, but again, let's, as much as we give him credit, let's remind the audience that this guy is on the network, that, you know, diversity is not common practice on this network, and he's not allowed to bring his partner to a party, rumored anyway. So let's just be fair when we're talking about it all around here, is all I'm saying.
I think fair is giving credit where credit is due and giving criticism where criticism is due. And like I said, I think we certainly do that.